Okay, so it looks like we got pretty interesting comments here from Elizabeth Warren, but they are not surprising in the least. So, Elizabeth Warren says that Joe Biden's denial of Tara Reade's allegation was very convincing and credible. So, not that the allegation Tara Reade made against Joe Biden is credible, but Biden's very late denial was credible. Now, the funny thing is, and nobody talks about this, but Joe Biden, he didn't even deny it up until recently. Like, he had his spokesperson first send out this very overarching message of like, oh, all of these accusations are false. He's never done this. Then I think later he had his spokesperson do it specifically for the Tara Reade allegation, but Joe Biden himself never came out and was basically like, I deny these allegations. So he hid away as long as he could. So he just came out, I guess, in his interview with Mika Brzezinski on Morning Joe, I guess is where he talked about it. Um, Here's what she says. She says, quote, I believe that everyone has a right to tell her story, to be listened to and treated with respect, Warren told reporters after she walked into the Capitol for a late afternoon vote. I saw the reports of what Miss Reade said. I saw the interview with Vice President Biden. I appreciate that the Vice President took a lot of questions, tough questions, and that he answered them directly and respectfully. Very interesting response as well. And then again, she says that the answers were credible and convincing. And so she says, I support the vice president. I support his campaign, and I'm proud to have endorsed him for president. I think the 2020 election will be about who this country is for. The vice president is fighting every day for an America that doesn't just work for a handful of people at the top, which is very funny about that. But basically, this is the only way for sort of the dominoes to fall here, okay? So if you remember what happened to Al Franken, right? Why was Al Franken pushed out? Al Franken was pushed out because Democratic leadership pushed him out. And so the first step in getting Democratic politicians to do this is to get the media to cover the story. So basically, the only pathway to something like this would be the media. Everyone starts talking about it on places like social media. Then the media is forced to cover it, which gives it a bunch of coverage. Then the politicians who are Democratic leaders or high-level Democrats, like people like Kirsten Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, they have to respond. They have to issue a response. And so the only way for Joe Biden's campaign to actually be finished is if a couple of the people turn on Joe Biden. So what happened in the Al Franken situation was, I guess he went to Chuck Schumer and he said, no, I'm not even giving you due process, step down. Kirsten Gillibrand called on him to step down, and that was the end of Al Franken. So if Elizabeth Warren and like Kirsten Gillibrand or any of those, women top Democratic leaders, whether it be Warren or Kamala or Kirsten or whoever it may be, if any of those people were to come out and basically say Joe Biden must step down, this is not okay, this is immoral, he would be finished. But they're all standing behind Joe Biden basically because they're all in this bid for his vice president slot. So all these women are trying to fight for his VP spot right now. So they have a conflict of interest here. Do I stick to my principles about believing people, believing women? And it's especially hilarious because Elizabeth Warren just smeared Bernie Sanders as a sexist in this past election cycle and said, oh, you have to believe women no matter what they say. And then now here she is. And also, I just saw a tweet from her during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings where she was believing all of the people who made allegations against Brett Kavanaugh, which one of them, I think it was Julie Swetnick, turned out to be completely, totally just false. But really have to understand here, this is not surprising in the least, so I'm not surprised at all. And if you're surprised, I don't think you're really aware I don't think you're really aware of who Elizabeth Warren really is. But not surprising in the least. Who's going to end up in the vice president slot? I don't know at this point. Your guess is probably as good as mine.